Like old-time scout, Kemo Sabe. You fool whole town.
I hope you're right. You look around town. See if you can pick up any trace of Slade and Kirk.
Me meet you back here. Me hear Lady Barbara plenty rugged. You not let her cut too much or her get suspicious.
Don't worry, Tonto. I'll just get a trim. Be careful.
Now, let's go.
Hey, wait a minute. Looks like somebody beat us to it.
Reckon you could give me a little trim? My whiskers is sprouting like weeds, ma'am, and, up to about here?
Why, sure, mister. Climb in. I'll fix you up good. Take your hat off.
Never mind the hat. I'm a-keeping it on.
You're, new in this town, ain't you?
Yep, that's right. Just got in.
What's your trade?
Oh, might say I, was a hunter.
Oh, hunter, huh? Well, that's mighty interesting. When you, do your hunting, do you, usually wear a mask?
A mask? What do you mean, ma'am?
Well, most people wouldn't notice it, but it's a barber's business to study faces, and yours is mighty tan, excepting around the eyes, and that's the outline of a mask, mister, an outlaw's mask.
Now, hold on, ma'am.
Don't move or I'll cut your gullet. I know all about your little scheme to rob me.
Look, Mrs. Bannon. I'm no outlaw, and I didn't come here to rob you.
Oh, so you even used a fake voice on me. I ought to do away with you right now.
I'm not who you think I am, Mrs. Bannon.
And I suppose you're not working with a friend.
Yes, if
And
I'd
I
worked...
suppose he's not due here in a little while like you told him to.
He's coming here, but only to help...
Oh, shut up. I've heard all I want out of you. And when your friend sneaks in that back room, I'm going to let you have it first and then him. And nothing you'll say will change my mind. Your friend's a little late, ain't he? I take it back. He's right on time. You in there. Come out with your hands up or I'll put a bullet through your friend's head.
Stay where you are, Tonto.
Dead burn. It's the first time I was ever tricked by a man and he got away with it.
Kemo Sabe, what happened?
It seems that Mrs. Bannon was expecting unwelcome visitors, Tonto, and mistook us for them.
Oh, so there's an Indian mixed up in it, too. Where's that other no-good hombre that I threw out of here this morning?
What's she mean?
Oh, don't play possum with me, you ornery polecats. I know why you're here, and you can kill me, and I won't tell you the combination to my safe.
We don't want to rob your safe, Mrs. Bannon. All we want is some information.
Well, that's a mighty pretty speech, mister. How can I believe you? You got any way of proving it?
Yes, ma'am. Just one way. Here's your gun. Would I give it back to you if I expected to rob you?
Well, I'll be darned.
Now will you tell us who you were expecting?
Well, I don't know rightly, mister, but I had a warning that a bearded man and another hombre was coming here to hold me up.
And maybe they're still planning to. And if they're the ones that Tonto and I are after, I'd like to get a confession out of at least one of them.
You think there's a way of doing that, mister?
There's a way of trying to do it.
Come on. Howdy, ma'am. Reckon you got time to trim the whiskers of an old galoot who's been out prospecting for the past 6 months?
Well, sure. Send him in.
Well, I mean me, ma'am.
Oh, say, you could use a trimming. Climb in, mister.
Thank you.
Do not make noise. We know your plan.
Tonto, what happened?
Head hit rock. Lou get scared on off. Head clear now.
We can't let him get away. Go after him. Bring him back.
And what about other one?
I'll take care of him. I'll give him a few minutes to get settled in there.
Me be back fast.
Sheriff,
I can't stay here all morning.
You work by the clock in your bank, Mr. Simpson. But we can't work that way in the business of upholding law. My friends will be here.
They're being very mysterious. That Indian might at least have given you a hint.
Tonto says what he's supposed to, no more, no less.
Howdy.
Howdy, old-timer. What can I do for you?
You can stir your stumps and give a fellow the kind of protection you get paid to give him. Look, mister, I got 15 pokes of gold dust out there in my burrow. I'd like to know who's going to keep it from falling into the hands of desperados and road agents.
Well, now, hold on.
15 pokes of gold dust.
Hold back on them eyes. They're hanging on your cheeks like grapes. Yep, 15 pokes. And pretty near 32 ounces to the poke. Come here, partner. Let him look at a couple of fellas who know where gold is and how to find
don't
it.
leave it out there unguarded.
A gold strike. We'll have a boom town here.
Meet the pard.
Tonto. I should have known. Come on in.
Hello, Jim. Thought if I could fool you, I could fool anyone.
You sure enough fooled me if I didn't know Tonto so
I wish
well.
somebody'd tell me what this is all about.
This is Martin Simpson,
How do you do, Mr. Simpson?
There's a young man under those whiskers.
the man I told you about. This is Tonto, his Indian friend.
Well, the story of the gold strike?
Fake, Mr. Simpson, just like my whiskers. But I don't want anyone to know it's a fake.
You'll have to give me a very good reason.
Well, his reasons are usually good enough. Well, what is it? What brings you to Sandstone?
We're trying to smoke out a couple of murders who broke jail in Arrow City. Dimple Henshaw and Soapy Farrell.
You sure don't waste any time. Handel just come in on the stagecoach on those two this morning.
Dimple Henshaw. He got that crease in his chin during a fight with me some time ago.
And those murderers are in this territory?
Yes, it's their only way to the border. We've got to corral them before they cross it.
Well, why bother? Let them go, I say. Good riddance. No trouble, no fuss. Just forget them.
Forget the children they've orphaned, the widows they have made. Justice demands that these men be made to pay for their crimes. They're killers who will continue to kill on both sides of the border unless we stop them.
Well, when you put it that way, I agree. I agree heartily. They should be caught.
Yeah, we'll be on the lookout.
And so will I, but behind the barricaded doors of my bank. But why do you want to see me? What have I got to do about this?
Mr. Simpson, I want you to keep your bank open. They have guns and horses, but they need money badly. They may drop in on you at any time.
You mean you want to use me as bait? You want me to stand there in my bank and invite them in for a gunfight?
Kemo Sabe have good plan.
Maybe they won't call on you, Simpson. They may get their funds elsewhere.
I hope not, Sheriff. That's the reason for the disguise and the fake gold I'm going to deposit in your bank. Let's make it the worst-kept secret in the history of gold mining.
But I'm a peaceable man.
But Henshaw and Farrell aren't. By the way, Sheriff, how are you fixed for help?
He's not fixed. All he's got is that young deputy, Bud Titus. He spends most of his time in the barber shop getting slicked up and daydreaming.
Oh, he's still got a lot to learn, that's all, like anybody. He hasn't seen this handbill yet.
When he does, more daydreams.
I reckon the solid truth is that Bud doesn't keep his mind right proper on the job.
One careless move with Henshaw and Farrell, and the penalty may be death.
Oh, Bud's all right. I believe in the big kid. Even if he is my wife's favorite nephew, we can count on him.
I hope we can. Now, gentlemen, here's my plan.
Woo! Gold! Yes, sir. Come on, Lester. Well, there, you unbelieving Indian. Didn't I tell you we'd get here safe? Trouble is, you got no faith. You don't know what it means to be my partner. Here's the bank. Here's the gold. Get away. The gold goes into the bank, and we sleep on feather beds until the last.
Senor Bart, some people always count you lost. Me, never.
Don't tell me what being unlucky feels like.
Come on, look what's
Hadn't any
coming
gold, any ranch, any...
Senor Bart, listen.
You talk too much. Everybody here.
Hey, that's right. No use to start a stampede. What's here is ours. Yes, sir. Come on, Lester. Into the bank.
What's going on here? You can't haul that animal into my bank.
Haul him? Why, he's plumb loaded down with gold dust, mister. Out of my way.
Wait. I'll have a look at your gold.
Why, sure. Have a little peek. Hey, yes, sir. Hey, that's long enough.
All right, old-timer. The burro stays out, but if you want to deposit your dust, bring it into the bank.
Deposit it? I'll say I'll deposit it. In the biggest vault you
Quit
got.
that ruckus. People might think there's a run on the bank.
Run on the bank? I'll say there's a run on the bank. A running river of gold. Hey, yes. Come on, Injun. Lend a hand. Yes, sir. This gold is going to look pretty in that vault. Go ahead, Injun. Be right back, Lester.
Mrs. Barron, the girl's father, Mr. Dexter, is an inventor. And before he left this morning... So we followed Bonnie's suggestion, and each of us hid a piece of the drawing.
Oh, how clever of you ladies. And may I ask where you hid yours, ma'am?
I've always been told that criminals never look in the obvious places.
How right you are.
Uh-huh.
I would have never thought to open your fan. I agree with you. It's much safer with me. And now you, Miss Bonnie. What secret hiding place did you choose?
I got the idea from the last novel I read. The heroine hid her jewels in here.
Oh, how admirable. And you, Miss Peg?
You don't mind, Baron. I'll keep my third of the paper.
Oh, don't be unreasonable, Peg. Supposing something happens to you?
Supposing something happens to the Baron.
Oh, now that makes sense, all right.
You don't trust me, do you, Miss Peg?
Should I, Baron? Don't be absurd, Peg. Can't you see he's a gentleman? He has perfect manners, if that's what you mean.
Well, Baron, looks like the young lady knows her own mind. Reckon you'll just have to keep your eye on 2/3 of that drawing.
I'm afraid that's not enough.
Why, Baron, what do you mean?
I mean that I want it all. And may I remind you, sir, that if you make one move to help those ladies, it will be your last. I'm much faster and younger than you are.
Reckon you got me, Baron. I don't aim for no gunplay.
Peg, I don't understand. I do. Your precious Baron is the real outlaw we should have been watching for.
Correct, Miss Peg. And now may I have your piece of drawing? Come, come, Miss Peg. Surely you aren't going to force me to harm you.
Peg, give him the paper.
You dropped something, Baron.
Oh, nonsense.
There's a knife on the floor. Looks more like a stiletto. There's blood on it, too.
What?
Look out!
What do we do with him?
I don't know who our friend is. Let's get out of here fast.
How can we? I'll knock the driver out.
You can drive, you idiots. Get up and drive.
Kemo Sabe, you all right?
Yes, Tonto. Where's the coach?
Me see 2 men. One stay inside. Other drive coach away.
If we move fast, we can head them off at overhanging rock.
You wear mask?
Yes, Tonto. It's a symbol of justice I want Von Baden to remember.
The paper, Miss Dexter. The paper, please. And may I remind you, I have no compunction whatsoever about killing you for it.
Oh, Peg, please give it to him. He means it, Peg. You must.
I'm sure he means it.
Well, Miss Dexter, since you prefer to die...
Hey! Wait, Baron. You win.
Now you're behaving sensibly. I hate to have shot you. Well, in which obscure place did you secret your precious document?
I'm afraid I wasn't as clever or original as Miss Prynne and my sister. It's in my shoe.
Me find this one, Kemo Sabe. Ladies all right?
After what we have just been through, young man, your mask doesn't scare us a bit. And if you come one step closer, I'll whack it right off your face.
Can't say that I blame you, ma'am.
You wouldn't take advantage of an old soldier, would you?
El bandido! No, you must not shoot.
I'm not going to harm you.
But Pedro ain't got nothing.
I'm no outlaw, Pedro. I want to ask you some questions.
Si, senor.
How long has Professor Hagen been staying here?
2 weeks, I think.
And he's collected spiders all that time?
Oh, yes. Hundreds of them. My wife no like, but,
Where's Mrs. Nelson?
Who?
The lady in the veil.
Oh, la señora. She's in her room. The first one.
Thank you, Pedro.
Yes? Who is it?
The man who helped you this morning. May I speak to you?
I'm dressing.
It's quite important, Mrs. Nelson.
Just a moment. Come in.
Sorry to bother you, Mrs. Nelson. May I ask you something?
I was just getting ready to go out.
Allow me.
Thank you. What was it you wanted to ask?
About your fellow passenger.
Oh, then you didn't succeed in trailing the outlaws.
No, I didn't. Can you give me a better description of the man they abducted?
I'm afraid I've told you all I know.
I don't agree, Mrs. Nelson. You're hiding something.
Well, what do you mean?
For one thing, your face. And your hands. Do you always put on gloves before you put on your coat?
How dare you?
I'll apologize if I'm mistaken. But I don't think I am. Raise your veil, Mrs. Nelson.
Why, I never.
All right, you win. I might have known I couldn't fool you for very long.
Who are you?
Vic Mason, U.S. Deputy Marshal.
Can you prove that?
Sure, in a second. Oh, darned if I can see how women get along without pockets. Yeah. Well, my badge is in that bag if you want to look at it.
So you're trailing Silky Carter?
Uh-huh. Why else do you think I'd be going around in a silly get-up like this?
Was Silky in that coach?
Yep. I could have kept them from taking him, but they would have found out who I was. You see, legally, I can't touch Silky until he gets that money.
Yes, I know. That's quite a disguise, Mason. Especially your voice.
Well, I always could do tricks with my voice. Talk like that, or...
Like this.
Yes, Mrs. Nelson was doing all right until she met up with the Lone Ranger.
You know me.
That wasn't hard to figure. Mask, white horse, Indian named Tonto.
What are your plans now, Mason?
Have you got any suggestions?
There's a man staying here by the name of Hagen. I have a hunch he's back of Silky's disappearance.
Hey, what does he look like?
Oh, medium height, bald. Wears glasses he doesn't need.
Why, that sounds like Doc.
Who's he?
A double-crossing pal of Silky's. He's after the money.
Couldn't they be in this together?
Mm-mm. Silky won't share that money with anyone. And it'll take a lot to make him talk. Say, wait a minute. If Doc's staying here, he's got the room next to mine. Working together, we might... you will help me, won't you?
Of course. What's your plan, Mason?
You trail Hagen when he's outside. I'll watch him while he's here. If he breaks Silky down and heads for the money, we'll nab him.
Sounds good enough. I'll be camped near the big rock on the hill. If you want me, signal with a mirror.
And if you need me, send Tonto. All right?
Right. I'll be going now.
You just about saved this case for me, you know.
Mason, I'm not interested in this as a case. I'm interested in getting the money back for the government. I'll be watching for your signal.
Silky.
I ought to let you have this right in the face, you low-down filthy.
Now, just a minute, Silky. You're making a big mistake.
In a pig's eye. Your thugs made a mistake when they grabbed the wrong man.
Oh, Silky, I can explain all that.
Shut up! The only reason I'm not killing you is because I can use you.
Oh, you know you can always depend on me.
I said shut up! Yeah, I can use you to help me get rid of a masked man called the Lone Ranger.
A masked man?
Half the guys in jail were there on his account. You're gonna fix it so I don't have him after me the rest of my life.
Why, Silky, I saw that man only this morning.
I know. He told me.
He told you?
Yeah, we're buddies. You see, I got this and the papers that go with it when you shot up that guy on the coach. He was a federal marshal.
A lawman?
That's right. What did you do with him?
You won't have to worry about him, Silky. My boys have taken care of him.
Good. Now, here's what we do. In the morning...
Now, just a minute, Silky. What do I get out of this?
For a double cross, you ought to get shot. But for helping me get rid of the Lone Ranger, I'll make you a deal. 1/4 of the payroll.
How do I know I can trust you?
You don't. But unless we work together, he's liable to get us and the money. Is it a deal?
It's a deal.
They want our horses, Kemo Sabe. We go get them now?
Not yet, Tonto. Catching Yuma and his friend isn't enough. Who's ever left in the gang must be caught also.
That's right. Even one at large will lead to more trouble later on.
There's one way to find his hideout and the rest of his gang.
How that?
Join Yuma and his friend. They'll take us there.
But you can't wear a mask.
Correct. I'll change to a disguise. Hurry. Get the things out of my saddlebag.
You know, Cheyenne, I bet that sheriff's kind of dry by now.
If he ain't, he will be mighty soon. Hey, Yuma.
What's the matter?
Over there. 2 men riding our trail.
Yeah. One of them's an Indian, and that guy on the white horse looks like an old man.
What do you make of it?
I don't know yet, but we'll soon find out. Keep them covered, and let them ride up.
Howdy, gents. Howdy.
All right, never mind the talk. What's the idea of riding our trail?
Hold on, mister. You can put up them guns. Just me and my partner here looking for water. Some crazy critter blew buzzard bass sky high. We've been dry nigh on 5 hours.
Oh, you have, huh? Well, you can keep moving.
We're not likely to do any gunplay, mister. We're just looking for water. See, you got some.
Yes, and we're keeping it.
Well, you ain't gonna let a man die now, are you? We're all equal out here. I'd share with you.
Well, you would you? I think he's balmy, Yuma.
Maybe. You say you were at Buzzard Bath, huh? Alone?
When we got there, we were. Then we saw some horsemen riding up. Figured they might be bandits. Trying to find out what I know.
You not tell secret.
What are you talking about? What kind of secrets you guys got that bandits would want to know? I said, what kind of secrets?
I think we can tell them. They look honest enough.
Maybe right.
Sure. What do you think we are, thieves?
Oh, no offense, mister. Just that a man tries to be careful who he talks to. All I say is, if we don't get out of this predicament, all the gold we found won't do us any good nohow.
What gold?
Gold, yonder over them hills. All a man can dig. Never seed such a find.
How come a fellow like you's got a fine horse like that?
He's a beauty, isn't he? All I've kept these years, living from hand to mouth, never traded him in. He's my life, mister.
Give him some water, Cheyenne. Where's this gold find, mister?
Oh, I don't look that loco now, do I? Why should I tell you anything more? What you got that's valuable enough to make it worth my while?
If you want to live and get back to that gold, you're gonna need water.
A lot more than you got here, mister.
That's right.
Don't get your proposition.
Enough water to keep you alive for a half share in that gold you found.
Where is this water?
We'll have to lead you to it.
Let me talk it over with my Indian friend. He's my partner, too.
That's fair enough.
Come on, Injun.
What you figuring, Yuma?
This is like shooting fish in a barrel. When he finds out how much water we got at Indian Forks, he'll do plenty of talking.
You going in with him?
No longer than it takes him to give us the location of that gold mine.
Oh, I get you.
We'll sort of humor him along a bit.
Hey, mister. Well, my friend says it's all right. But we don't do no talking till we see that water you're offering.
Well, we better get going. You lead off. We're heading south.
Whatever you say.
How lucky can a guy get, Cheyenne?
If you fell in a well, you'd come up with a bucket of diamonds. Wait till the boys hear this one.
If you work with me, perhaps we can catch this crook and get your money back.
Do you think you could? The sheriff wasn't very encouraging. He said it was a most baffling case.
Tell me, Mrs. Whitcomb, what was this fellow's name?
Saunders. Rick Saunders, he told me.
How much money did you give him?
$2,000. I borrowed it on our house.
And you hadn't talked to anyone recently about the chair?
No.
He could have found out from someone else. Or someone else could have been working with him.
How do you mean?
Tell me, Mrs. Whitcomb, have you talked to anyone recently about Tom?
Why, yes. There was a Mr. Applegate. Came here about 10 days ago. I didn't talk very much about Tom, and I certainly didn't tell him about the chair.
Did he ask any questions about your son?
Only his name and regiment, that's all.
Could you tell me what this Applegate fellow looked like?
He was a tall, fine-looking, white-haired old gentleman with a white handlebar mustache. Certainly had good manners.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Whitcomb. You've been a great help. I hope I'll have some news for you soon.
What's your next move?
Pay a little call on Charlie Denton. That is, if Applegate hasn't already been there ahead of me.
Well, do you think Applegate and Saunders are working together?
I wouldn't be a bit surprised. Sounds like a perfect setup. Applegate gets the information. Saunders uses it to wring money out of worried parents.
Well, I hope you're on the right track. Oh, I'm sorry I gave you such a rough welcome.
Forget it. I'm used to that. Goodbye.
Hello, my young friend.
Hello, Applegate.
I would say, from the smile that wreathes yonder cherubic countenance, that the bluebird of success, bursting with song, has perched itself upon your shoulder.
If you mean I got the money. Yeah.
How much?
Just what we planned. Did you see Denton?
He's still visiting his sister. He'll be back today.
Oh, what a wonderful, easy way to make money.
Better than robbing banks, huh?
Sure. Much better just to go to a fellow's mother and ask for money.
Yes, my boy. Mother love is a sacred and beautiful thing. Next time, why don't you ask for 5,000?
I think I shall.
Well, Denton should be getting back by now. I better get over there.
Say, you think you ought to whir that rig over to Denton's?
Why not?
I just thought someone might have found out by now that we're fakes. Might have gone to the sheriff and turned in a description of you.
Yes, that's right. You know, my hunch about teaming up with you was a good one. You're smart.
Can't rob banks and stay out of jail if you're dumb.
No. Well, let me see. Oh, yes. I have a fine makeup. Wore it when I was on tour with the Chautauqua in Canada. Dark hair, dark mustache. Nothing like them to take 20 years off a man's life.
What happens if Denton's still not back when you get there?
Well, he's due back any time. I'll simply sit on his front porch and wait.
No need to be frightened, Mr. Denton. You are Charlie Denton, aren't you?
Now I won't tell you who I am or anything else until you take off that mask.
Sorry, I can't do that.
We're here to help you. Come to warn you of big trouble.
Mr. Denton, there's a man on his way here to rob you.
What man?
No one been here yet to ask you questions about your son?
No.
Two men who call themselves Applegate and Saunders have been swindling the families of soldiers around here.
We think you next on their list.
How did you find this out?
I had a talk with a Mrs. Whitcomb over in Rock Hill.
Them take $2,000 from her. Pretend to get her son out of prison.
Why, I can't believe that anyone could do such a thing. It seems so heartless.
Yes, it is pretty heartless.
Any idea what these men look like?
The man who comes here first, the one who gets the information, is an elderly gentleman, white-haired with a white mustache.
An elderly man. White hair, white mustache. The name?
Applegate.
Well, I'll watch out for Mr. Applegate. And when he shows up, I'll wring his neck.
Better you let law take care of that.
But he deserves it. Mother love is a sacred and beautiful thing. To hear of anyone abusing it like that makes you want to strangle him.
I'm going to try to pick up his trail before he gets here.
Well, thanks for the warning. I'll be on the lookout.
A man went out that back door just before you came in. He suspects it isn't Paiutes that are attacking the stages. And if he keeps on talking, he's going to start a lot of people thinking.
Who is he?
Someone wearing a mask.
A mask?
Yeah. And plenty handy with these guns, too. I don't think I'd like trading shots with him.
What are we going to do? If he keeps checking up, he's bound to find out the truth.
He will if he's given the chance. But it's up to us to see that he doesn't get that chance.
What do you mean, boss?
I mean, we've got to kill him and waste no time about it.
the horses here. Boy said he'd be behind those rocks. Yeah. Come on and be quiet.
Oh, easy. What's the matter, boy? Oh,
you shouldn't move around. Yes, but I can get him. Crossfire. We'd better get out of here.
We'll make a run for the horses. Come on.
Kemo Sabe, them hit you?
No, Tonto. Thanks to Silver.
Who men who try to shoot you?
I don't know. I didn't see their faces.
Maybe them see masks and think you outlaw.
It's possible, but I doubt it. Honest lawmen wouldn't have fired first without giving me a chance to surrender.
Well, that too. Me get horses, we try to follow.
No, Tonto. If my suspicions are correct, we can locate them later. I want to hear what Lone Eagle had to say.
Lone Eagle say no braves from his tribe rob stages. Him give his word as chief of all Paiutes.
Lone Eagle's an honest man. His word is to be trusted. Tonto, only one person beside yourself knew where I could be found. I talked with that man in town.
Who that, Kemo Sabe?
The express agent for the stage company.
You think maybe him rob his own stages?
I have no proof that'll stand up in court. There may be a way to get him to show his hand and get the proof we need.
How we do that?
I'll need a little gold dust first. You buy it with this.
Me go to Gold King Mine. It's not far from here.
That's a good idea. The foreman's an old friend of ours, George Briggs. You can get it from him.
Now, what do you do with gold dust?
It's to be bait, Tonto. I'll put on a disguise and pay a little visit to the stage office.
Fools, you stupid, blundering fools!
We couldn't help it, boss. Like we said, along came some other umbrage and started pumping lead at us. We were caught in a crossfire.
Now, now that you've bungled the job, we've got to be extra careful. We've got to...
Howdy, gentlemen.
Howdy, mister. What can I do for you? These men won't mind waiting.
That mighty fine of them. Thank you, gents.
Don't mention it.
Well?
He want a ticket on the stage to Carsonville. You take cost out of pouch.
Ah, looks like you've done all right with your prospecting.
Yeah, only do all right.
Well, don't you think it's a bit dangerous for you to be carrying all this gold around with you? You know you might be held up.
What I got here only sample. There are plenty more sacks like that filled to the drawstrings in my shack near Red Canyon Mine.
Here's your gold. And here's your ticket on the Carsonville stage. Leaves here tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock.
Thank you, mister. Since this be last night in town, only have lots of celebrating to do. Have plenty fun. Well, thank you, mister. Goodbye, gents.
Well, it looks like Ed and I have another date with the Carsonville stage.
No, Bart, no. I don't think we should risk that now. Not with that masked man around suspecting the truth.
You mean we're not going to go after that gold?
I didn't say that. I just think you and Ed should keep your Indian war paint in your saddlebags for a while. Oh, don't worry. I want that gold just as much as you two. But I think I know a safer way of getting it than attacking the stage again.
How, boss?
Well, you heard the Swede say he was spending the night in town celebrating, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the rest of the gold is in his shack.
Near Red Canyon Mine.
Don't worry, boss. We'll get that gold. There's nothing easier than robbing somebody when they're not at home.
This unholy alliance of daring, vicious men had earned the infamous title of the Death Gang because they never left any witnesses to their crimes. The honest citizens of Granite City lived in constant fear of their lives and property, for the law could not apprehend 3 criminals whom it had never been able to identify. But in addition to lawmen, there were 2 others who were determined to smash the Death Gang. 2 men whose whole lives had been dedicated to the future of the West, the Lone Ranger and Tonto.
I beg your pardon. Could you direct me to the famous old Indian caves near Granite City?
Get the money, Gus.
You fellas the Death Gang.
I never believed it. Why, you've been good friends for a whole year now.
That's why nobody'll believe it, Joe. Friend doesn't turn on a friend, does he?
I suppose you're planning to give me the same medicine as all the rest of them. Kill me so I can't talk.
It's the only way, Joe.
Not this time, it isn't.
Hurry it up, Gus. There's no telling who heard that shot. I've got it all.
Jim, it's you. Whew. Thought I heard a shot. Had me worried. Where's Joe?
He met with a little accident, Mr. Collins.
Accident? What kind of accident?
This kind. All right, get going and make a clear trail as far as the river. Good.
That sounded like gunfire.
Come from behind building down street. Me see nobody.
Come on.
Jim, did you hear those shots?
Yes, they came from next door, and we saw 3 masked men right away behind the building.
We fired at them and missed.
Why, it's old Mr. Collins. Joe Stevens.
And look at the safe, emptied clean.
Shot dead. Poor Joe, and him with a wife and family.
This one's still breathing, Sheriff. He's unconscious, but just barely alive.
Well, that bullet must have just missed his heart. Better get him over to Doc Miller's. Lift him up, boys.
Wait a minute, Sheriff. May I make a suggestion?
What is it?
Well, if the death gang is behind this, they'll most certainly return and try to finish him off when they hear he's still alive. He'd be a lot safer in the jail, and the doctor could treat him there.
You're right, mister. Take him over to the jail, boys. Ben, get the doctor fast. Now, you say that you saw 3 men riding away behind the buildings?
That's right. One of them was carrying a black satchel. I can guess what was in it.
Yeah. I'll send my deputies with a posse after them. Won't do much good, though. We'll probably lose their tracks at the river, just like we always do.
Come along, Indian. We've got lots of work to do.
I don't like this. If Collins comes to and starts talking, we're washed up for good.
Yeah, and he'd be safe in jail thanks to that meddling stranger.
Jail or no jail, we've got to get to him and finish him off before he talks.
But how, Shim? That's the strongest jail in the West. Nobody can break in or out.
We've got to find a way. Come on.
Them tell truth. Fresh tracks of 3 horses plenty clear.
Yes, almost too clear. Look, Tonto, why should one set of hoof prints make a deeper impression than the other 2?
You think only 1 horse have rider, maybe?
Why not? Would be a clever trick. 3 horses make tracks to the river where they disappear, while the real hold-up men stay right here in town above suspicion.
But me not see human footprints.
That's why I'm so sure we're right, Tonto. There aren't even any footprints from the back of the mining office to the horses. The real trail has been deliberately covered up. It looks as though someone has dragged a branch along here to hide it.
That mean crooks not run very far if them have time to wipe out footprints.
That's just what I'm thinking.
You mean men from next door?
Maybe and maybe not. But one thing I'm sure of, though. Whoever did it will have to try to kill Collins. And if they do, we may be able to set a trap for them.
But Collins in jail. Impossible even for death gang to reach him.
There may be a way to make it possible if we can get the help of a certain old man. This disguise has served its purpose. Now it's time for the Lone Ranger to act. Come on.
What are you trying to pull? There was nothing but paper in that shipment.
I know that.
Then why didn't you tell me? I don't hold up stages just for exercise.
If the stage hadn't been held up, old Lady Howard would have suspected me. She and I were the only ones that knew that the shipment was phony.
So you sent me out to get shot at by the Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger?
That's right. Masked man, white horse, Indian pound. Who else could it have been?
Well, then we better lie low.
No, I've got a different idea. You know how to open a bank vault. Let's make one big haul and clear out.
And spend the rest of our lives dodging the law? Don't be a fool. Nobody has anything on us. If the masked man is going to suspect somebody, it'll be John Portis, not us. If we run for it now, we're liable to be in real trouble.
There's something in that.
Sure there is. And don't worry about the Lone Ranger. If we have to, we can handle him. I'll see you later.
Right.
You got back early. How was the driver?
Him be all right.
Good.
What did you learn about the robbery?
There's no robbery this time. Mrs. Howard sent fake money shipment.
Now, why would she do that?
Stage line owner named Portis. Him say Mrs. Howard responsible for holders. Her say him responsible. Send fake money shipment to trick him. Portis say him framed.
Are they the only ones who knew about the shipment?
Man at bank know about fake shipment. Mrs. Howard not tell him about others.
I see.
You able to follow Bandit's trail?
No, but I discovered something that may be useful. Where the outlaw waited for the stage, I found 2 cigarette butts.
Plenty men smoke, Kemo Sabe.
But not while wearing a bandana mask. If the bandit took off his mask to smoke, then he could have been recognized.
You think somebody see him?
A certain old prospector is going to pretend that he saw him.
Prospector?
I'm going to use a disguise. Has there been any reward offered for the capture of this outlaw?
$5,000, but you not interested in reward, Kemo Sabe.
I'm not, but the old prospector is going to set a trap by asking for an even larger reward. While I'm putting on my disguise, I'll explain.
Howdy there, young feller. Kinda got you fenced in.
Just a moment, and I'll take care of you.
Well, I don't need to be taken care of. I want to see the man who runs this bank.
Mrs. Howard is busy.
Mrs. Howard? You mean to say that a female bosses this outfit?
Yes.
Well, I don't cotton to that kind of foolishness. Woman's got no business being in business.
You're entitled to your opinion.
But I'm not narrow-minded. Now, you tell Miss What's-Her-Name that I'll see her.
You don't seem to understand. Mrs. Howard doesn't want to see you.
When did she say that?
Well, she didn't exactly say that. I'm sure she's
Just as I thought. Mrs. Howard! Hey, Mrs. Howard!
Shut up, you fool!
Mrs. Howard!
Be quiet, you old fool.
What in the world?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Howard. I told him you wouldn't see him.
You run this bank?
Yes, I do.
Then maybe you'd like to know who's been a-stealing your money.
What are you talking about?
Do you know anything about these hold-ups?
Yep, seen the one you had this morning. And given the right kind of cooperation, I could identify the owl hoot what done it.
Well, he's off his rocker. The driver and the Indian both said the bandit wore a bandana mask.
Well, supposing I seen him before he put up his bandana.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, he didn't have nothing covering his face when he sat there behind them rocks smoking a cigarette waiting for the stage.
You saw his face?
I couldn't help but see his face if it weren't covered.
You'd better get the sheriff.
Wait. I want to talk to you, lady, not the sheriff.
But if you can identify this man, you should...
I'll identify him when the time comes, but right now I want to talk about the reward.
The reward?
Yep. Catching this feller ought to be worth more than a puny 5,000. Why, you and that feller that owns that stage line ought to be able to scrape up 10,000.
You're crazy. How do we know he's telling the truth? I wouldn't give him a cent.
Suit yourself. Be seeing you.
This is extortion.
I don't care what you call it, lady, as long as it adds up to $10,000.
All right. Wait here.
That's more like it. Why, she's a right nice lady. Well, now, we got all the money?
I sure have. Right here. Raise your hands.
Why, what's the idea?
I'm taking you to the sheriff.
Well, that's a dirty trick. I come here to help you, and you pull a gun on me.
You're going to do your duty as a citizen, whether you receive a reward or not.
Are you sure you can handle him alone, Mrs. Howard?
Quite sure. Close the bank, Mr. Breck. Our customers will understand.
Yes, ma'am.
The sheriff's office is right across the street.